Rockeyez would like to welcome Joel Hoekstra. Hey, man, what's up?
How's it going, Brian? Thanks for having me on.
Great, great. I saw you last year or the year before with Scrap Metal in New York City. What a great show it was. I mean, it's so personal. It was at a place called the Cutting Room. And, I mean, it only holds like 200 people. It's like, you know, private and VIP. And you guys did such a kick-ass job. And, you know, it's nice to see... you know, the closeness from the fans, you know, to the stars and stuff like that. I just wanted to thank you for such a great night, you know.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I remember that night. All those gigs are always very impromptu, you know. We're just kind of, everybody gets together and just plays it and hopes for the best. So thank you so much.
Great. Now, going from Whitesnake, Night Ranger, and all these other bands, you have your own solo album coming out, Dying to Live, which comes out September 4th on Frontiers Records. I listened to a little
Well,
bit.
actually, October 16th.
Oh, October 16th. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, I guess my press release was wrong. But, okay, October 16th, and, you know, I listened to some of the CD today and stuff like that. Do you have to, like, when you're doing a solo album, do you have a different, you know, frame of mind when you start working on it?
Well, this is something that I'm considering more of a side project album.
Right.
I had 3 solo albums that I put out years ago that were primarily instrumental guitar albums. And all the fans that have basically been following me with Night Ranger and Whitesnake and Siberian Orchestra and Rockeyez and whatnot have been always saying, hey, how come you don't make an album that's just like vocal songs, like rock songs for us? And I always sounded like a great idea, and I finally got to make that album. So it comes off sounding very band-like with all these great musicians on it. It's just straight-ahead rock songs. But the reality is I did all the writing.
Right.
And everything, and so it's not necessarily a band. So the best thing for me to do is give it a side project name, and that's what Joel Hoekstra's 13 is. And the album is called Dying to Live, as you said, and it's basically just melodic hard rock that I described as like Dio-ish at its heaviest and Foreigner-ish at its lightest.
Right. When you were working with, you know, different people like Jeff Scott Soto, Russell Allen, and stuff like that, did they do this in person, or was it sent over on WAV files? How'd that work?
The only person that I was really together with was with Russell on his stuff. But, yeah, the majority of it was just done with everybody in their own place, and that's kind of become the industry standard because you have a studio set up at your place, and even with bands, that's the way bands are doing their albums nowadays, too. So, yeah, it's just a matter of convenience in the way it is these days.
Right. Now, the songs that you wrote and stuff like that, were experiences, or did they just come to you, and how'd that work out?
Well, the songs have a common theme, basically, about just eliminating the obstacles or overcoming the obstacles in your life to arrive where you're finally meant to be. So it's a lot about all those struggles that we all go through in our lives to, you know, become the people that we want to be and live the way we want to live and everything. So anyway, that's the theme of it, man. And yeah, I wrote all the words and melodies in the whole 9 yards. But early on in the album, a lot of it just started with guitar riffs, and you know, it still just sounds like basically good old-fashioned classic hard rock.
Cool, cool. Now, when you play a live show, when you step on stage, what's that feeling like? Do you still get, you know, the chills and stuff like that, or how's that work?
Yeah, I always get pretty excited for a show and have some healthy level of anxiety. I don't think anything unhealthy, but I always feel excited about it. Sure, I think it's a cool job to have and a cool moment to be stepping out on stage and playing guitar for people, and definitely not something that I take for granted. I think it's an awesome job to have, so I try to make the most of it.
Cool. When you were a younger kid, was this always your dream?
Pretty much from the time I started, and I wouldn't even call it like a dream. I just kind of like played all the time from the time I started when I was 11, and thankfully, because of that, I never really had to make a career decision is the way I look at it. It's just kind of like one of those nice things of never having to make up your mind what you want to do with your life because you're just so busy playing guitar that that's already what you're doing with your life.
Right. Do you remember that first guitar you got?
Yeah, it was just an awful Electro West tone that my mom got for me at the mall, you know.
Right.
I grew up in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, so we just went up to, like, the local mall, and she got me that, and they weren't going to buy me an amp until they saw that I was really going to be playing. So thankfully the guy at the mall store said, hey, you know what you can do? You can plug this straight into your home stereo on the auxiliary inputs. Wow. I was like, just went home and, like, plugged straight into my mom and dad's, stereo at home and promptly blew out the speakers, cranking up. Like, I think the first song I learned was Paranoid. So
right.
I think the neighbors listened to me play Paranoid, like, literally, like, 5 or 6 hours a day, nothing but, because I didn't know anything else. But, I really enjoyed it right out of the gate.
Cool. Are you happy the way your career turned out so far?
I'd say so, man. I mean, I never really laid any claims to be a big, rock star or any of that stuff. So I just think of myself as a guy who want to make a living doing it, and I feel a little bit like the underdog, I
right.
came from, like, a modest upbringing. So, yeah, I think in a lot of ways everything has surpassed my expectations, just having a cool career doing what I'm doing. But at the same time, I want to make the most of it and take it as far as I can take it.
Right. Now, when you go home, does the neighborhood get excited that you're there and stuff like that, or you're just at home?
It's a little bit of each. I mean, there are some people. A lot of my old friends are excited about some of the experiences I'm having with my career. And then there's also, like, just your everyday people who could just really care less on the street. So that's not just when you go home. That's kind of everywhere, Right. It's like I could walk through whatever, an airport. Let's just come up with some arbitrary example.
Right.
And, there might be one person that recognizes me at the airport or something like that. And that one person will be really excited, but the rest of the people, they could care less,
Wow. Is there anything special, in your dressing room when you play a live show that you ask for?
Yeah, in the dressing room. Oh, good question. Like before a show and the day of a show, I pretty much I have a routine. I just like to drink coffee all day and not really fill up on anything until I get the sound check. And at sound check, I like to just have, or maybe just after sound check, have like raw veggies and hummus.
Right.
And that's kind of what I like to go into a show on, so I don't feel real heavy and weighted down by a heavy meal. And then afterwards, I go for broke and just eat like a big slob. But that's the basic gist of it. So like the hazelnut coffee is like my favorite thing, black, just black hazelnut coffee and veggies and hummus, man. Kind of boring, but that's my system.
Right. When you go to different countries and stuff like that, is there a particular country that you really like going to and any experiences?
I like the whole thing, man. I live in New York City here, so I get my fill of the whole, like, big city experience just being at home. So I really enjoy going to small towns and things like that too, smaller markets, and I just enjoy traveling in general and touring in general. We're getting set to, Whitesnake is getting set to go to Japan, which I love a lot. I have great fans over there. Great attention to detail, and just extremely hospitable. Like, the fans make you gifts, so you go down to the lobby, and they got all these handmade gifts for you and everything. It's just really nice.
Wow,
and
that'd be cool.
But I'm looking forward to going some places with these guys that I haven't been yet. We're going to go to Russia, which I've never been to, and we got some lots of places in Europe that we're going I've never been. So excited about that.
Cool. What's the experience like giving an autograph?
It's fine if it makes the other person happy. Me, myself, I never quite understood the concept of an autograph, but just because it seems like it could be easily faked, or just like, I don't know. I guess I just don't understand the why it's valuable. But hey, man, if it makes people happy, absolutely, I'm all about it, because I'm grateful to have an opportunity to make a living doing this, and the people that are out there supporting it, and fans sound so cheesy to say that, but the people that spend their hard-earned money to come see you play music, I want to make them happy, you know?
Definitely. Is there any quirks with David Coverdale before, like, a show?
In terms of,
I guess, like backstage,
I wouldn't say quirks, but the the way it usually works is about 30 minutes before the show, we get together and we sing together. We warm up, just maybe singing choruses of songs and maybe some vocal exercises. And then right before the show, like I would say 5 minutes before we start, or maybe it's a little more, maybe 10 minutes before we start, we do one of those hands in the center thing that everybody does, just kind of like, you know, sports teams do and whatnot. Little pep talk. Nothing as adrenaline driven as the sports teams. We're not yelling and screaming and all that stuff, but usually just a little like hands in the center, positive talk about what we're going to do tonight and that type of thing.
When the CD comes out, is there any special plans to do anything, you know, as the release comes?
Well, it's been quite an effort to get it out there, quite honestly, man, with all this amazing lineup of Russell Allen and Jeff Scott Soto are the singers, and Vinny Appice played drums on it, Tony Franklin played the bass, and Derek Sherinian did the keyboards on it. So, man, I mean, I feel so honored to have all these great musicians, but it was hell working with their schedules to get everybody on and everything. So it took some time. It's been a labor of love for me. So I'm first off, I'm just very excited to get the album out, and then obviously if there's an opportunity to support this out there and there's some demand for it, man, I'd love to try and get out there and do so.
Cool. Well, congratulations, Joel. Dying to Live, October 16th. I have it, I think. And Frontiers Records, man. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time having me on and the support on the album.
Great. Would you like to say anything to the fans out there before we end?
Likewise, man. Same thing. Thanks so much for the support, and everybody, please drop me a line, and I'm going to see how far I can take this thing.
Thanks a lot, Joe. See you later.
Cool. Thanks, bud.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.